Welcome to the Advisor Summit, the podcast where financial advisors gain analytical insights and tactical strategies from the industry's top minds. Each episode, we bring you exclusive conversations with founders, C-suite leaders, and industry innovators, uncovering the trends, tools, and techniques shaping the future of financial advising. Whether you're looking to scale your practice, enhance client relationships, or stay ahead of market trends, the Advisor Summit is your go-to source for expert guidance and actionable takeaways. Hi, Colleen. Welcome to the Advisor Summit. We're so excited to have you, and thank you for joining us today.
Good morning. How are you both?
We're good, ready to rock and roll and kind of just learn from you and your knowledge. And we're excited to kind of share your experience on this platform. So wanted to kind of first start by just having you share your backstory and how you really became the director of operations at Oxford Retirement and Estate Planning.
Good question. I was a stay-at-home mom for 12 years with my two children, who are now 30 and 24. So if you can imagine, that was quite some time ago. And then I went back into the workforce. And because I had been in the car industry before, I had a really good friend. They had a need at one of the dealerships around here for a customer relations director, which is just kind of what I do here. I'm kind of the mom of everything, fixing problems, making sure everybody's happy. So I slid right in. So, thankful for that. I did that for about 8 years. And then I decided, this isn't for me anymore. So I jumped out in 2020 and said, you know what, I'm just going to try my skills somewhere else. Let me just get my feet wet. And then COVID happened. So I started just being a scheduler for water processing systems just to kind of bridge the gap. And I kind of got stuck in that for about 4 months. And then I got a call on the phone from Jen. I don't know if you guys remember Jen. She used to work here. She said, we have an opening for a marketing director, and we really think you'd be a good fit. So I came in and I interviewed with Landon and Mike, and they said, well, what is your ideal job? And I said, well, I'm kind of the mom. And they said, Jen's leaving in 3 weeks. Do you want her job? So I said, sure. Which is great because the girl I was working with doing the scheduling, Lexi, is now our marketing coordinator. She said, don't leave me here. I don't want to be stuck here.
Stuck alone.
I didn't get the marketing position, but I got the director of operations. So and we've been working together ever since.
I feel like that's also such a mom move. Like, there's a need, we're just going to jump in. Like, no questions asked. You're just going to full force go for it. And that's how we do it. So that's awesome. So you've always started kind of in that role, that operations role. Was it hard to learn? I mean, you didn't come from the financial advisory background. So was it difficult to kind of learn the nuances of the industry? Because it is a very niche industry, very different than what we would say is water or even dealerships as well.
Yeah, I think I had the management and kind of the mothering skills down that it takes to be kind of a manager and a director. The rest of it was just kind of figuring out the language, figuring out a difference between a security and an annuity, what the differences were, just kind of working with AE. Their online training is really good about teaching you exactly what it all is. So I'm somebody that if I don't know it, I Google it. I find people who know it. I will sit with them for as long as I can. It did help that Jen was still there for 3 weeks and kind of walked me through everything. So it was an easier transition than just kind of being put in a role and having to figure it out. So
here you go.
Kudos to her that we had that transition.
I think that's so key, though, and I think this speaks a lot to your character, is if you don't know something, you go figure it out. And that's something I really want to encourage everybody, listening to the podcast or, in their roles or in this industry, go figure it out or ask someone, what have we found? I mean, like yourself, I think everybody is so willing to share knowledge and so kind. Of course, we have a couple of apples, but we don't want to talk about those. It's just most people are willing to share. So I think that's really kind that you're willing to as well. So
and that helps me throughout my job time here. I have a really great relationship with Kayla, who's our marketing team director on Team Synergy. When I didn't know something, I call her, I ask her, I send her an email, and our relationship, she comes out here to visit. So we're really good friends at this point. I feel like it helps build relationships. They want to help you whenever you need it. And just like with us, I love Colton. I love you and Erica.
Shout out to Colton.
Don't feel shy to ask because there are people that want to help.
Yeah, truly. And I think
Yeah.
that's huge. And I think utilizing and tapping into like your strategist or your VP or utilizing those resources is big. So it sounds like you've definitely done that. But I also want to ask, okay, I mean, this is very unique to Oxford, but how did the concept of Dare to Retire how was it born? Because I love this saying. I think it's so BA. I think it's so cool. So I just want to know the backstory of like how that came to be.
So Mike Oxford is the founder of Oxford
Yep.
Retirement, and Landon's been working with him since he got out of the Navy. And he had one of those really crazy. He was a combat search and rescue on a helicopter. So he just had
Wow.
this kind of high volume, crazy, daring job, and I think that's
Yep.
just him to a T, right?
100%. Like knowing Landon, that's him all the way through. There's no better way to describe it.
I think he had this in his mind the whole time because he saw the need that people kind of are trepidatious about retiring. They're not really sure. So instead of making it, okay, I guess I will retire, he's like, I want to dare people to do it. So when he took over the business in 2021, he had it hatched for a while. And as soon as 21 happened, he bought the business. He said, this is what I want to launch. And he went into it full on.
Full-fledged. Well, very Landon, 100%. All in, no questions. Yeah. Was there any like hesitation from the team? Was anyone like, I just think in general, advisors, and we love them, they typically will have these like big ideas. And sometimes the team takes a little bit of time to actually get on board with that. Was there hesitation or was everyone like, no, we're ready to go. This is awesome.
I think Landon is a very easy leader to follow.
Okay.
Right. So when he puts passion into something, when he brought it to us, you can see it. You could see how he described it. You could see how he felt like this was the move that he wanted, and the way he helps people and clients, whether they're just coming in for advice and he just sets them on the right path. Sometimes they don't even become clients. He just wants to make sure that they're helped and they're educated, knowing that he just wanted to put his spin on how he felt like it was exciting to retire, not something you were kind of dreading. He wanted them to feel that excitement, and it was easy to follow.
Yep. I love that. I especially feel like it's so funny that people in their 30s and 40s feel very excited to retire. And then as you kind of inch closer to that, end line, there's a lot of hesitation within that retirement. So, and it's true. I think Oxford does a great job from start to finish, from Lexi scheduling to you, speaking to them to Landon. I think you through and through really do well in that process of making people feel comfortable. So kudos. So I also want to ask, okay, so for new firms, I mean, you've been in this role for a little bit now. You obviously excel at it. What are some advice you could give those just maybe starting out, maybe in the marketing role, as well as for someone that's just become a director or maybe a C-suite type of person? What's some advice for those that are newer to those roles?
I got to go back to learn as much as you possibly can and be adaptable. Don't stay in your lane. There's so many things that I do here as a director of operations that you wouldn't think would be on kind of a job list. I mean, I've redecorated the entire office to match kind of Landon's aesthetic. It's a little strange, but that's I could put that on my resume.
No, I remember I called you one time and you were like, oh, sorry, I'm actually just finishing up painting. Can I call you back? And I was like, yes, you can. But I think that's so true. It's really diving in and showing people, hey, like you really need to do it all. So
yeah. It's one of those things where because these financial boutique firms, people have a lot of hats and a lot of roles to play. I think if you're open to that and just don't stay in your lane and you learn as much as possible and you really, really try to do as much as you can to learn every single role, that is in marketing. Lexi and Janai can kind of hop in and do reception. They can do front desk. They can, help me out. We all kind of cross train in a lot of ways, which helps their knowledge, because if they get on the phone with somebody and they need to know it, they can't just be like, I'm just in marketing. That's not my job. That is a view we have here. Don't ever say that's not my job, right? Let me get somebody better to help you that can understand that.
Yep.
but never say it's not my job.
Well, it
Or
disqualifies like trust in the firm. It's like,
yeah,
okay, if they don't even know within their own firm what's happening,
yeah,
how am I supposed to trust them with assets and finances that are huge for people retiring? I mean, they're not just getting a car wash from you. They're getting
right.
something massive from you and they want to trust that. I love that. Do you feel like, especially for those that maybe are in a position like a marketer, for example, and there's by no means is that like lesser than or more than, but someone that's wanting to move to maybe a higher C-suite role, would that be the same advice that you would give them? Just learn everything, or is there anything else that you can kind of add to that?
Yes, and that's kind of the direction that me and Landon are thinking for myself, because I said, okay,
Yeah,
what's the next step for me? Because I always want to constantly grow.
100%.
And being a C-suite employee also gets you into certain trainings, like at AE,
Mhm.
the women's trainings and things like that.
Yeah,
So I'm like, you just kind of, if you really want that situation, talk to your financial advisor, because they know exactly who goes to what
yeah,
and what that entails. So that's kind of put me into a direction of he's told me, if you want to be in that position, you're not just a director of operations
yeah.
where, yes, you are managing, yes, you are doing a director thing, but I need to know where my financials are at. I need to
Okay.
know where my spend is. So I've put together and it started actually with using Track That Advisor,
Yeah,
because I use kind of the same template just to lay out our financials. So I'm kind of
yeah.
dialing in, and I think about Track That Advisor a lot, because I've
Yay.
never data driven like Erica.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, okay, what do I need to have him understand? He needs
Mhm.
somebody right behind him to say, hey, look, spend more money on advertising, spend more money here, or this college isn't working. Let's cut them out. Let's look at
Yeah,
another place to have some educational classes. So I'm kind of learning along the way,
yeah.
listening to a lot of audiobooks that Christina Gilbert has
Mhm.
recommended for the Ops Connect. I was listening to one of the ones this morning, and it was just talking about how you really have to be very compassionate and listen, but you kind of have to also look towards the future and what you
Yeah,
need to be doing for your financial advisor. So it's kind of nice
yeah.
that we're set up that way. On the marketing side, Lexi obviously had no marketing experience.
Yeah.
She knew when she got into the job that I was more of the creative, because we kind of split the
Mhm.
job that way.
Okay.
Since we didn't have a marketing person, her and I did all the creative and all the ideas, and she really is data driven, right?
Yeah,
So she likes doing all of the spreadsheets, all of the
yeah.
creative things with the pamphlets and all of that.
Mhm.
So she found a niche, and that's why we hired Janai, because she had a marketing background, and now she
Perfect.
edits all of our videos. And Lexi's like, good, now I
Yep.
can forge forward with that side, because marketing isn't just creative. You have to
No.
be data driven as well.
I think it's nice too that you can find people that all work together in that. I think and can synchronize and have synergies in that, because I feel like a lot of teams, and we've seen it. I mean, a majority of our teams are super successful, awesome, but when some teams are a little bit off kilter and they're not speaking to each other. So I think that's a big thing. Also, communication. Like, what are you good at? What am I good at? How can
Yes.
we work together to accomplish this? Because I think about video editing, not my role. No, thank you.
Right.
I'll do the podcast all day, but I am not going to video edit. And it's similar. Like maybe you want to do the creative, but you don't necessarily want to do the pamphlet side. So what's
Right.
so nice about these firms is there's really so much to do that you can really take shape and find the right people. Even Erica and I were talking this morning about finding the right people in the right place and giving them permissions to own that job. And if you don't have capacity to own that job or own that position, let's find the right person that does, and
Yes.
even within the firm, like, okay, you like 80% of your job. Awesome. Let's find where that 20% could fit. And maybe you could take an additional 20% elsewhere. So it sounds like
Right.
you guys at Oxford really have it down. And we feel that. We know it. It's not a secret. It's like, oh man, this is a very good team. So
Yeah. We're very
I,
I have
lucky.
a question about
yeah.
the dance that you do with the owner advisor. So you're working towards that C-suite position.
Yes.
You're probably in limbo there, but talk to me just about, I mean, it's been 5 years now, so you know Landon really well. For the people listening, they're not the owner of the company, right? They work within the company. Maybe they'd love to be in the C-suite position sometime. Talk about the dance and the relationship that has to happen with these strong leaders that are within your firm, and sometimes they have a lot of ideas, sometimes it's like their way or the highway. How do you navigate that? I think that that's a hard thing to do for a lot of people who are in a support role. So I'm curious about that from you. I mean, you guys have great teams. So how does that dance work?
I think we're very lucky that me and Landon just see eye to eye on so many things. We challenge each other too, though. So that is very important. When he comes up with, oh, we're going to order more things, I have to say, hey, we don't have any room here. So where are we going next? Like he is forward thinking. I'm like, where are we going to put it all? It's just kind of the way, me using that example is the way he goes. I want him focused on the building of the business and how he's going to start to delegate to some of the other advisors here. He wants to hang on to how it used to be because he knows he can do it right. I have to keep encouraging him, and he pushes me to be better and wants me to do better things. So our relationship is very unique. I think people can tell that we just have this, he knows he can rely on me. He knows I'm going to get him prepared. He knows that if he has an issue, he can bring it to me and I can handle it with grace. But that took, like I said, like a while for him to understand. And it's experiences, right? He has to see how I handle something, and then he knows that he can. So he can, it's almost like they have a checklist. Can I rely on her for that? Let's see. And then, boop, yep. And then they just kind of go down. And it seems, even though the advisors that we have, and we have 5 now, they're all very different. If you want to do the DISC assessment, they're all Ds, but they're all a different type of D. I don't know how to describe it. Landon's very forward thinking, very entrepreneurial. Some other guys, we have 2 CFPs here, very data driven, very
methodical,
analytical. They want to sell the product. Then there's Chris, who just is going to climb and do whatever he can to learn everything he can to be a financial advisor. And Mike's kind of like, hey, I've been here before. I'm just going to check out. You have to kind of find that way of speaking to each one of them. And I can just say that it's very great that Landon gives me the capabilities to talk to each one, find out how they best function and how I can help them to be the best advisor they can be.
Yeah. That's awesome. I feel like too, it's a lot of, and I think having a lot of different personalities in the office can be hard to navigate and manage, but also from the client perspective, every client is going to naturally kind of side with a different type of personality. I think about, I have a twin brother, and I'm like, the type of advisor I would want is drastically different than the type of advisor he would want. And we could not be more opposite. So it's like you could have 2 very, same family people, but it's very different advisors for different people. So it helps that you have it all.
And when Mike is now starting to transition out and retire, he had a securities list of clients that we wanted to do a retirement analyzer for, because he was never using the technology, right? He just yellow padded it, wrote it down for them, showed them what he thought. But retirement analyzer kind of makes it a broad, cool thing that is this new thing that now that these clients are thinking they're going to be, handed over to somebody, and how do I have a relationship with them? This opens it up. So we do second meetings with them. We call them in, have an annual review, and then either Austin or Dane will do the retirement analyzer with them, which I think is so great. And sometimes they've come out of that meeting and said, I think Austin may be a little too serious for me.
Sure.
Is there any way I can meet Dane? And so they meet Dane, and Dane's a talker and and wants to talk about his kids, and Austin's very, let me tell you how you're going to get to retirement, right? So it's worked out for us. And we want to make it where clients know, hey, you're coming from Mike, who, is really experienced and has a lot of knowledge, to these younger guys in their 30s, with these people are maybe in their 50s and 60s going, you're going to tell me how to retire?
Yes.
Why should I trust you? So Mike has given them, these are the guys that are going to do it for you, and they can pick whatever personality they want. And we've given them the choice. And I think that has helped us retain all of our clients, because Landon was nervous. Are they going to want to see other people? Are they going to then jump ship and go try to find somebody like Mike's age that isn't retiring, that, and we haven't lost any clients at all.
That's amazing. I think it speaks a lot to your processes also, like just having, and I think maybe for firms that are in kind of that transition period, giving them permission to be nervous, but also to expect, if you have your processes in place, you have advisors that are similar, but also, knowledgeable, then you can retain all of your client base? Because I feel like that's coming. I feel like we have had so many firms just that we've seen in the industry. It's like almost transitioning a lot of, fathers to sons, or even like founders to kind of new owners. We've seen that a lot coming. So there's grace and kind of encouragement in that as well.
Yeah,
So
it's been nice too, because Landon has been here for so long that they're used to
yeah,
seeing him. They know that
yeah,
he's here. They know he's the basis. And then not just having Mike just say, see ya, and then
hi.
leave and not just
Mm-hmm.
drop people. Now we consider him a consultant, right?
Okay,
So he can come in, he can still meet with the clients. It's some clients need a little bit more finessing to
mm-hmm.
accept that they're going to Dane and Austin, but because they're also what we call here as wealth managers, they'll meet with Mike, and Dane will be in that meeting. He'll do all
Sure.
the analysis running, he'll do all the paperwork, he'll do all that stuff. So eventually they start to just meet with Dane, so that trust gets built. Some people are
Yep.
like, great, I want a new set of eyes on it anyways, so thank you
Yeah.
for showing me that.
Yeah.
It's very nice how they've nuanced it with each client. So
With each person. No, and I
yeah,
feel that. Everyone's going to need something different for sure. You
yeah.
talked about this risk allies. Is that something that you have, or sorry, potentially that's not the word for it, but talk me through kind of, is that like something that you've recently incorporated into your business, or is that something that you've been utilizing for a long time? Kind of walk me through
Yes.
some new things that you're doing as a firm.
So Lannon has always used Retirement Analyzer.
Okay.
Riskalyze is now Nitrogen.
Okay.
So that's kind of like another analysis that they run, just to give them kind of a view on everything that they're doing. Mike didn't really like the technological side of it. So
Sure.
when it was just Mike and Landon, I feel
Yeah.
like Lannon's clients kind of had a really clear view of
Mm-hmm.
exactly what they were to expect. Mike's was kind of like on a handshake and a smile, right?
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
that it was
No,
every
it
different
works.
way works for different
Yep.
people, but now they're being introduced to some really great reports that's showing them,
Yeah.
hey, if I did this and my rate of return is this, what can I expect? When am I going to run out of money in retirement?
Yep.
So that's been really helpful and just kind of an eye opener and a tool that they never saw before.
Yeah.
So I feel like it just brings such a different dimension to what we're doing here. And like I said, when it was just Mike and Landon, it was an easy process. We had 2
Yeah.
client service reps, we had 1 marketing person, 1 front desk person. That was it. Now
Yeah.
we're up to 13 people and 5 advisors. We have to bring something new to the table. We have to do
Yep.
something different. And it made us really rethink our processes, right? How are we doing this? Who is taking over what?
Mm-hmm.
And I've heard from different offices, especially kind of on our VP marketing team, just how different offices are structuring their office, right?
Yeah.
So there's some director of operations that also do annuities and AUM. Here in our office, we have
Yeah.
1 dedicated client service person for annuities. So from top to
Okay.
bottom, she does everything, right? She doesn't know anything about securities. She knows about it, but she
Yeah.
can go from A to Z with annuities, right? And our AUM, we have 2 girls that they just stick with that advisor. So if they have any
Perfect.
questions, I hear some offices are doing, well, Monica does A through N, and then I do
Yep.
N through Z. And I'm like, whoa, like our advisors know I'm handing it to Jessica or I'm handing it to Crystal. And I know
Yep.
she's going to handle the client. She's going to handle the write-up. She's going to handle everything. So it's so different how every office is ran too.
I think too, there's not necessarily like a right or wrong way, but I
Right.
would also encourage the offices that if it's not working or it's not efficient, to change, like
Yeah.
to pivot, to try something new, because maybe, the first person is getting confused A through N, and then by the time the person N through Z gets it, they're like, this isn't even done. Now we're having to go back, etc. So I would just give permissions there. Like, it's okay to change. It's okay to pivot.
Yeah.
It's okay to try something different. And it's not one size fits all, which is funny too. In this industry, I find that a lot of times, different like industry leaders are trying to kind of say, yeah, this is the best platform. This is the best thing you can do, whether it's a vendor or, mail house or something. It's actually not. The best thing for you is what's best for your firm specifically, and how it's going to make you more capable in the long run. So I love it.
Yeah, when Landon first started, he had a really great friend say, "Oh my gosh, all my processes are great. I automate all of these things."
Yeah.
And he said, "Well, come over to our office and show us what you're doing." And he came to our office and he goes, "Why do you have so much staff?" And Landon started to kind of doubt, "Well, why do I have so many
Yeah.
people?" And then he's like, "Well, you need to do this and you need to put this in place and you need to have this app and you need to have." It did not work for us at all because we're our Salesforce and we are hardcore calendar driven on there.
Yep.
And we tried to put in Calendly, you can only put one advisor at a time.
Yep.
And we couldn't differentiate between the advisors. We tried for a year and we tried to do keep, and we tried to do all of these different automations that worked perfectly for his office because he had one advisor. Right. And the way he does it is he doesn't take first meetings. He has all of his team meet with him first. And then when they need to send out a calendar invite for that next meeting, it was him. So of course it made sense. For us, it doesn't. So
no.
It's just
is there any
between different offices? Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Is there anything tried and true, like a vendor or an app or something that you feel like could work for a majority of offices that you've really put into place at Oxford that you love? Like, is there anything that's made it efficient, saved you time?
If I must say, we started Trainual, which is really great.
Okay. Yeah.
That's a really great one. I was going to start off with Track That Advisor because everybody's going to go. And I know we kind of took a little turn. I know when we first started with Track That Advisor, the instructions, I guess, that we were kind of following along were you need to have one person doing all the information at once. And I said, there is no way that's going to be any use for us. So we kind of took it and I said, okay, we're going to split this up. So I sat in the room with the staff and said, okay, marketing, you need to put in your costs, and annuities, you need to put in, and you need to do it weekly, if not daily. Right. So the when and the why and the how needed to, at first it was bumpy because they didn't really understand the numbers of it all. And of course it was adding something that they never had to track before. I was used to tracking commissions and all of the advisors and all of the business. It also helped them to kind of know where everything was going in and out and where along the pipeline they were. So splitting it up, I know I felt like I was going against the waves and going against the grain, but I was like, this is going to work. I want everybody to take ownership of it. And that really worked for us. Just everybody having a hand. The front desk person, front desk coordinator that we have, she puts in all of the coaching sessions, where they came from, what date their appointments are. She's the one that keeps up with if they've come to a second meeting. If not, she tasks on Salesforce the advisor who had that last meeting, and we track it down, right? It's helped us to kind of really get our first meeting folders and first meeting attempts a little bit more honed in. We're still on that ripple of making sure that they get touched, because all I can see is these manila folders back there going, one of these people, and they said they might want to come back.
A lot of money.
That's all I see, right? So I'm already starting to talk like a C-suite, right?
That's
money to me, and I'm like, how do we get that? So just even little changes like that, and knowing that those are being tracked, and then the security side, just having them track exactly what it is, and having Landon have a dashboard, because everybody knows the Salesforce dashboard. We've never used it. We've tried to get it adjusted to what we can see. And he was like, can I just pull something up that shows me where I'm at, shows me who's producing, shows me who's whatever. And you've seen him kind of take off with it. He's like, each individual advisor has one. So now he can train and teach. I'm really trying to get him in the CEO mode, right? Because I'm like, you've got to start delegating. He goes, what do I do? And I go, you maybe take off Mondays and then don't do Fridays, and then that's your training days. And he'll always book over those training meetings. So I try.
And that's all you can do. It's that classic advisors, are not there. It's so funny. They're so fearless about so many things. And I so appreciate that about the advisor world. But then that scary D word, delegate, comes and they're like, gosh, I just don't know. And I get it, right? I mean, I always think of it back in mom perspective. It's the first time you pass off your baby to a babysitter, you're like, gosh, are they going to do the same thing as me? Are they going to do it as well as me? And then after about your third kid, you're probably like, yes, bye, we're good. So hopefully as you get a little bit more in there, he'll start to delegate more.
I always say I have to tell Landon 10 times before he actually hears me. He'll listen. And he's like, but he also has empowered me. When I tell my team, we always have, we have operations meetings, we have marketing meetings. Landon understands that they're the ones that with their boots on the ground, right?
Yes.
What is going to make this easier for you? And he's never told us no. If they want to go to a training, he says yes. If it has, If they want to learn something new or try something new,
Done.
have at it. You guys
Yeah.
are the ones that do that. If you want to slim a process or do something different,
Yeah.
he's got to start doing that with his advisors. He's never had to train underneath him,
Yeah.
right? He's always just
Yeah.
been the guy coming up and doing everything. And I'm like, you have got to start taking a breath. He doesn't want to let his clients down. And he feels that if he takes a step back, that's what he's doing. And I'm like, they're going to understand. They're going to understand. You have got to start delegating. They know that you trust these guys. You hired them. They trust you. The trust for Landon is immense. So if he can just let that go and understand that people get it, I think he'll be able to start thinking in that CEO mentality. And I just keep pushing it. I just keep telling him, got to start thinking like CEO. You're no longer CEO.
Yep.
You're CEO.
Just casual, like just slip the, post-it note. Hey, you're actually CEO. But I think it's huge.
I'm his coach, so I'm
fine. And I think every office needs that. Every office needs someone that has that relationship with the advisor. And I think step one is to build that relationship, because you and Landon obviously have that. And then from there, you can really start to push. And that's only going to make your firm grow and advance and move into a space that you want to be in. And I mean, you guys have been so successful in the past, and that's from every single person on your team. I also want to touch on, I think it's an immense huge character trait of a leader to just say yes. If you want to go learn, if you want to do this, like the answer is always yes. I always feel that with Erica too. We have 2 people on our team getting, and I am not techie, so I don't even know, some developmental of computers on a certificate, and they're like, can we do this? And it's like, yes, if you feel that's going to help you in your role, go do it. Like and it's not even just about the technical side, it's about the people side too. I think anybody like trying to pursue to become a better leader or better role teammate in your team is always going to be advantageous no matter what they're learning or doing. So
agree 100%.
Yes. Well, last thing, I mean, this is a huge one. We love trekking. This is a big concept of ours this year. Erica and I are both Erica more. She's done a lot more accomplishments. I will not pretend. But just trekking, like, where are you going this year? What's your biggest goal? It can be personal or professional, but what's the summit and the peak that you're trying to reach this year?
So professionally, like you touched on way earlier that I was expecting, but I'm glad we talked about it.
Yeah.
I do want to reach for that. Everybody knows Allie Braun, right? I went to an elite training and I said, that's who I strive to be. When she said she started as a receptionist and then moved up to marketing and then moved up and got her licensing, that trajectory for me, it made it more real that I could be whatever I wanted to be here. I've even said to Lennon, do you want me to get my license? He goes, you could get your license and I know you could do well at it, but I really like you in the spot that you're in. And that was really empowering to me because there's always that keep going, keep climbing, but it might not be the right thing that you should do if you're really needed in the space that you're in.
Yeah.
And that made me feel really great because I'm where I'm supposed to be.
Yes.
But I want to expand on that. I know Allie did get her Series 65 and she then decided that she didn't want to have to be the advisor. I don't want to quote her wrong, but that's kind of what I got from it when she said, I want to do the planning. I want to help Merkle grow as a business. That's kind of my hill that I'm climbing. Anything I can do to make Landon and this place more successful, because everybody here I just adore. Like I want their lives to be better, and Landon feels the same way. If we can make their lives better, then that's cool for us. Right?
Your passion like really shines through, Colleen. And I want you to say, like, you are your own Allie in so many senses. Like I can't, and there are so many people that are like, I just want to be a Colleen. Like, I just want to be a Colleen also. So just know that you are where you're supposed to be. And this is, I mean, you've climbed huge mountains already and your passion is so wonderful in that. So anything personal? What are we doing personal?
Well, Landon keeps pushing me to move closer to work, right? So, like I said, I have a 24-year-old, my daughter, Madeline, she's always wants to be downtown Phoenix. So we're kind of in the North Phoenix area. He keeps saying, when are you going to move to this side? When are you going to get closer to work? When are you going to be up here so we can spend time with our families? And I'm like, all right. So I'm kind of looking for that.
Okay.
I don't too hard because, the housing market here, as you guys know in the Valley. That's on my radar. I was married for a long time and I've bought houses before, but this is on my own. I do have a boyfriend, but I always made it to where I'm going to go ahead and do it myself. And he's excited for that too. So
that's
just doing that to show my kids that you can do it by yourself. You don't let things get you down. That's kind of my personal goal.
I love it. Well, we're rooting for
Yeah.
you. So
Oh,
both personally
thanks.
and professionally always. So
Aw,
it's
you guys are
good.
so
So
sweet.
Colleen, thank you so much for coming on the Advisor Summit. This is huge for us. We so appreciate your time. You've been a rock star. I know you've just spent a lot of knowledge for maybe newer firms as well as those that are
Yeah.
trying to scale and move to more the CEO role too. I think that that's huge. And a lot of firms are in that position. So we just appreciate you, always rooting for you. And thanks for your time.
Oh, thank you so much, you guys.
Bye, everyone.